Welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal channel. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. BBC's Sami Makpo and Jelena Rones from ESPN UK have both confirmed that a deal for Arsenal to sign Viktor Gyökeres is very close. Lawrence actually says that at the moment of the two deals, Benjamin Sesko and Viktor Gyökeres is very advanced to join Arsenal, and it seems like the number one priority at the club right now before they can move on to sign Eberechi Eze. Also, Sami Makpo says that at the moment Arsenal are not panicking. They know that they have options, with Ollie Watkins also being there available, and he would be a cheaper deal to allow them do business in other areas. So in this video, let's dive into the latest on the Viktor Gyökeres story. Let's talk about Benjamin Sesko. Let's talk about Ollie Watkins. There is a lot of new information on these deals, and I am willing to share. So do me a favor, sit down. Let's discuss the Arsenal striker, because we are going to get a center forward this summer. Whether they like it or not, we are getting a center forward. Let's start off with a big story right there from Sami Makpo confirming today that at the moment Arsenal are understood to have made a lot of headway with a potential move for Viktor Gyökeres in recent days. The player is understood to be very keen to join Arsenal, and significantly the signing of Gyökeres is understood to have Andre Bata's backing at the club this summer. Gyökeres was not a strong target for Arsenal prior to Bata's arrival, but he believes he could make an instant impact if we signed him. That is Andre Bata. Makpo says that should Arsenal sign Benjamin Sesko or Gyökeres, it is likely to cost them around 70 million euros or in excess of 70 million euros. Ollie Watkins would be a cheaper option, allowing them to spend elsewhere. It is understood that Watkins and Gyökeres are the two players. I want you to underline this, right? It is understood that Watkins and Gyökeres are the two players Arsenal have explored moves for in recent days. This is scary. This is absolutely scary, because the Benjamin Sesko deal is dying at a quicker rate than we have never seen before. So that is Sami Makpo, and I want to break down that update because it's given us a whole BBC column, but let's just go with the main updates, right? So the main updates there are Arsenal have made a lot of headway. Headway means progress, right? So don't say, what does he mean when he says headway? Headway means progress. So Arsenal made a lot of progress on the Viktor Gyökeres deal in recent days. That's number one. The only two strikers that Arsenal have progressed on and explored moves for in recent days, right, in the last 2 days, have been Watkins and Gyökeres. That is according to the BBC, Sami Makpo. And I am not sure Watkins is close. No way. There is no way Arsenal have jumped Sesko and jumped Gyökeres and moved straight into Ollie Watkins. I don't think that the negotiations with Sporting are as frustrating to that level. So when he says that the only two strikers Arsenal have explored moves for in recent days have been Watkins and Gyökeres, that tells you everything you need to know. Arsenal believed to have made a lot of headway for Gyökeres in recent days, and then the other striker we are talking to currently is actually Ollie Watkins. And Makpo says that at the moment Arsenal are looking like they're going to spend in excess of 70 million euros, but they actually don't want that. Now, we also have another update, right? And this is according to Abola, and they're saying that Sporting are waiting for Arsenal to offer a bid for Viktor Gyökeres. The striker has to report for training on Monday, but the London club could still turn him away from that. So this is another story, and it's coming from Talking Sporting via Abola, and they're saying that the player is expected to arrive for training on Monday. So between now and Monday, Arsenal should be able to send in a bid, should be able to send in an offer, because Sporting are eagerly waiting for that offer. And the reason as why Sporting are eagerly waiting for Arsenal's offer is pretty easy, right? It's pretty easy to understand. At the moment, Arsenal and Sporting are getting closer to a consensus between the two clubs on what should be the price and what should be the striker. So what should be the structure. This is what I think. If Arsenal win on the price end, let's say we manage to pay 60 million euros or 70 million euros for Gyökeres, Sporting will win in terms of the structure. And if Sporting win and Arsenal pay in excess of 70 million euros, then Arsenal will win in form of the structure. So what do I mean? What I mean is that there is a possibility that Arsenal agree a deal with Sporting and it is 70 million euros and Arsenal win in terms of the overall package they want to pay. But then Sporting win in terms of the structure. They're like, we are only going to give you 3 installments and we want the bigger chunk of that money up front. You're going to pay 40 million euros in upfront, and you're also going to give us about 65 million guaranteed payments. So they win in terms of the structure, and we win in terms of the overall package. Or there is a possibility where we agree and Sporting get their way and we pay 77, maybe 78 million euros. But Arsenal say we are going to pay this money in 4 years, and the bigger chunk of that money is going to be add-ons. So Arsenal could say 60 million euros guaranteed, but 20 million euros is going to be add-ons. And we know Arsenal are the masters of dirty work when it comes to add-ons. We know because they tried to do it to West Ham, and West Ham said, if you dare do this nonsense here, we are not giving you Declan Rice. But I think the whole point here is that Arsenal and Sporting seem to be closer than Arsenal are to RB Leipzig. Leipzig are like way above in terms of our expectation, and we're going to talk about it. And Sporting are closer to what Arsenal think. And Andrea Bata obviously is driving this deal. He's a big fan of Gyökeres. He believes that Gyökeres could actually have instant impact at Arsenal if we signed him this summer. Now, there is something that I read as well, and it caught my attention. And this was according to Jacobens. So, Jacobens says that Benjamin Sesko or Viktor Gyokerez, who knows, maybe Oli Watkins, they're all being leveraged against each other. Arsenal would want to do one thing: sign either Gyökeres or Sesko at 70 million euros. That is the overall grand scheme. That is the scheme. Arsenal want to pay just 70 million euros for either role. And he says that Andrea Bata will be saying, if we don't get Gyökeres, we will get Sesko. If we don't get Sesko, we'll get Gyökeres, right? I bet you neither Leipzig nor Sporting know the true reality. And he says if neither come off, you've still got Watkins, but I think Aston Villa, because they've just sold their women's team to satisfy PSR concerns, they will really be bullish and will hold out for about 60 million pounds plus. Okay, so here's the deal, right? Here's the deal. So Jacobs says that at the moment Arsenal are trying to leverage, right? And this report is 100% true, because even on ESPN, they're saying that Arsenal have been trying to leverage in order to get the best deal, leverage all these strikers in order to get the best deal. But what I understand and what is actually going on is that in our pursuit to do this, Benjamin Sesko and RB Leipzig seem to have been excluded. They seem to be the team that is not willing to budge. They seem to be the team that is not willing to reduce their expectations at the moment. So whoever it is, Arsenal just want to pay 70 million euros for the services of a new centre forward. And Sami Makpo is saying that sources have indicated there is still no agreement between Benjamin Sesko and Arsenal, let alone the two clubs, with suggestions that striking a deal for the player has proven significantly harder than expected by Arsenal. Sesko's agent, Elvis Bazanovic, is understood to have developed a very good relationship with the former sporting director Andre Bata and Jason Edu. But with Edu and Jason Eto. But with Andre Bata leading negotiations, those nurtured relationships have gone out of the window. There have been indications in recent days that Arsenal focused attention on other targets other than Benjamin Sesko. So again, there is confirmation, right? There is confirmation that at the moment, right? There's confirmation that at the moment, BBC believe Arsenal are walking away from the Sesko deal, right? I want us to, before we get into the nitty-gritties and mambo-jumbos, I want you to listen to this segment on ESPN UK by Jules and Laurence. And they're saying the same thing. They're saying that at the moment, it looks like it's going to be Viktor Gyökeres.
Viktor Gyokerez and Eze are both in talks with Arsenal right now, Rob, for a move this summer. Are they the right players, do you think, for the Gunners? And it feels like Gyökeres is the one more advanced of the two, but there's a lot of people who think that Eze could also be a good signing for the Gunners.
Yeah, I think there are two players that would walk into any kind of top 5 team in England or indeed the other major leagues in the world as well. And you can't say that about too many players as well. I think, I look at Manchester United and I don't think they're signing top 5 players. But Gyökeres may be the player to fill that void of a striker. And he is a proper centre forward, a goal scorer that Arsenal, the fans and the media and everybody who watches Arsenal have been screaming out for as well. He's a guy that is just so hungry for goals. It looks like he's severing his ties over there in Portugal in more ways than one. When it comes to Eze as well, he's an exciting talent. He's far from the finished product, but I think he would fit very much into the Arsenal system if they get him there as well. If Gyokerez gets in the starting 11, then they expect him to start scoring goals from day one. Whereas Eze, I think they can kind of blend him into the team and they can use him sparingly as well. And then with that massive expectation, but he can take his game with Arsenal in the Champions League and with England as well to the whole next level.
I think for Arsenal fans listening, I think the Gyökeres one, who seemed now to be the number one option ahead of Sesko. I think for a while there was one or the other. Even within the club, I think it was divided on who was more of a Sesko guy and who was more of a Gyökeres guy. It seems like Gyökeres now is the priority for them. The thing with Eze, they would need to sell, I think, to get to Eze. For Gyökeres, whether it's 60, 65, maybe 70 million, I think they can do that they have the money right now. For Eze, I think they will have to sell first. The likes of Kivior, Zinchenko, maybe Fabio Vieira, who's back now from...
Right. So that is according to Jews, and that's according to Rob and Laurence. Why do I call him Jews? And he says, it's Laurence that has got the information, really. And he says that at the moment, Arsenal have the money, 70, 65, 75. They've got the money to spend on Viktor Gyökeres. Of course, this was told to us by Fabrizio, who said that in January, the Arsenal did keep their powder dry for that big centre-forward signing. And he has said to Arsenal fans out there, it is now Gyökeres that is the priority. It is now Gyökeres that is moving in that direction. It kind of feels like the other deals have died out. Arsenal are making headway on this deal. Now, I think with Benjamin Sesko, we've now understood the whole scope of this story, right? There is one thing that I want to report about before going into all the details so that I can give you a well-informed story. And this was written again by Sami Bakpo, by the way. He's he's a very, very all-round journalist, and I love it about him. And he was actually saying that there is a possibility that Arsenal are using the Viktor Gyökeres speed on the deal to shake up Leipzig and shake up the management of the player, right? It still could be a game of chess, a game of draft and chess. It could still happen that Arsenal are trying to get the priority from January, which is Sesko, but they're using Gyökeres in order to leverage Leipzig into succumbing to their terms and conditions. So when you look at all that, for me, the one point that we have learned, actually, in all the information that I've just shared, is the relationship between Leipzig and the relationship between Arsenal was actually affected by Edu and Jason Ato leaving. So remember, this is a deal that Arsenal have worked on for almost 2 years. And I'm not surprised that we didn't get Nico Williams. And this is not a weakness on Andre Bata's side, no way. But these are deals Arsenal had worked on for quite some time. And maybe there were some compromises that Edu and Jason Ato made. And Andre Bata didn't deem them necessary. For example, we were told that Arsenal were willing to pay about 90 million euros for Benjamin Sesko. And Andre Bata has just screened and analyzed and scrutinized the market for strikers and said, no one is worth 70 million euros more than 70 million euros. No one. Shesko, you're not worth 70 million euros or more than that. Gyökeres, you're not worth more than 70 million euros. And not even Hugo Ekitike, and not even Oli Watkins. So what this one is literally trying to, what it has done is it now forces Leipzig to find new conversations and agreements with Arsenal, and it has forced Benjamin Sesko again to find new agreements with Arsenal, because we were told that the agent of the guy, Sesko, was invited for tea at the last game of the season at the Emirates Stadium. So he was it at the Emirates? So really, he was invited as an Arsenal guest, right, in that game, and it shows you that Arsenal are trying to reward the relationships between these two parties. But it feels like those relationships are no longer valid, and Gyökeres is moving closer and closer.